something that's real. Tell me how you really feel. Now that you hearing the thrill. I was all on my own. Now when I'm looking at it home. Spit the dish up from the dome. I look we gone and this is the thrill. Welcome to the thrill. Giving you something that's real. Tell me how you really.
What a sweet day, baby.
Oh, what up?
Not much, man. I'm back.
You're back.
Married man too at that.
Yeah, dude, this is my setup that I have behind me here for there you go, for the horror corner. So I like it. I had friggin' ghetto as hell. I had my my horror movie blanket just thumbtacked to the wall, and it worked.
Hey, listen,
So
it worked. It looked
it
good.
worked,
I liked
and
it.
now I got this nice little blue background. All right, cool. Fits, works. Let it go. Let
Hey,
it let it go. Let it ride.
let it ride with it, baby.
Yeah.
Um, hey guys, everyone. Thank you guys who tuned in last week and saw Robbie's horror corner. That was you held down the corner very well. I was watching it.
Thank
Um,
you. Thank you for the
I
support.
do want to take this time, guys, also really quick, just before we get into anything else. I want to talk about our Juice Plus really quick. Just if you guys haven't seen it or heard about it, me and Robbie are on it. It's 30 plus fruits and vegetables. Helps out all organic, all natural, and it does help out for the body. If you want a little bit more information on that, please reach out to us on our individual platform on our Instagram or on the Rated F Instagram. We can kind of guide you to know the proper channels to talk about it. Um, and I do want to also say our condolences. As we opened the show, we did post a picture of Kevin Conroy, who was I mean, that was my childhood right there.
It's a
Uh,
godfather of Batman when it
the
comes to
that
go-to
is the goat of
animation,
Batman.
like voiceover. Don't go anywhere else. No offense to anybody else who's done the Batman voiceover. But can't tell.
Yeah, it's tough
Sad
to
to see him go
say.
such a young.
Yeah, he was 66, really young. Actually, I did see a report just before we got on. We were just talking about it. He passed away to cancer. It was a battle to cancer. So our condolences to the Conroy family. He meant a lot not only to us and on entertainment level, but it was just something like Batman was like the thing growing up. And I remember, there's videos, I'm VHS, I've seen it still, that of us talking about it, me standing up with trying to mimic the Conroy voice of I'm Batman, I'm vengeance. And it's just so good. Like it
Yeah,
meant a lot. And Kevin Conroy is the GOAT of all time, greatest of all time. When it comes to playing that voice, again, no offense to any other person
yeah,
who does the voice acting role of Batman, is nothing to you. I've heard a lot of the Batman movies and cartoons, and hearing their representation of it's never bad. But he
yeah.
was
There,
just he was
there's
just a
talent.
voice.
There's talent, and then there's legacy. Kevin Conroy's legacy.
Yep,
Yeah, you
100%.
can't mention that.
Yeah, and it's hard to say. Hard to say there will be another one like him, but I mean, hey. And also, guys, as always, like and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on Twitter. We do also have our audio dropping on Apple Podcasts now. The link is in our descriptions. Also in few of our posts that we have on Instagram and Twitter. So feel free, guys, to download it. They are free channels right now. So it's free for everyone to check out. Um, let's kind of jump into it now, man. Let's get
Yeah,
into
yeah.
this. We talked about this before. I know we
Let's
are
do
supposed to be doing our week with cliffhanger.
it. Oh
Unfortunately,
yeah.
because schedule changes, it did change. So we will be
Damn
seeing
it,
him next
Chuck.
week. We will see him next week when it comes to our show. So can't wait to talk to him. We still have a lot of stuff we want to talk to with him. But let's talk about what we want to talk about today, though. Today's a
Us.
whole nother
You
conversation right now.
you hit me
Uh,
you hit me from the side of this when you proposed it to me. Oh, yeah, thinking.
Yeah, and it's
It'd be
hard
like,
because especially because we had to do stuff short notice. It was kind of hard because it took me a minute to think of movies that I was like, man, like
yeah,
what are my favorite movies that I could literally just watch on a bad day and a good day, a sick day, and I
exactly.
could be like, yeah, this is what I
This is
need to see.
it.
So,
Go ahead.
um, what is, and I'm gonna post a question on the screen. What is
Yes.
your all-time favorite movie or show um that has meant the world to you? And in that retrospect, like something that emotionally attaches you to
Hmm.
your childhood or emotionally attaches you to something good in your life that you could literally just watch it.
Right.
Um, I know you said for me to go through.
Yeah,
I'll
go
drop
ahead.
my first. I'll drop the five, and I'll kind of explain the reason.
Okay.
Um, Obviously, the first one I've already mentioned it. Batman was a big part of it for me. Um, the Michael Keaton Batman started it all, so this is the one movie I definitely could watch. But you put any Batman movie on for me, and I'll pretty much watch it. Even the Val Kilmer movie, oddly enough, was very entertaining enough. I know
He's a
it
good
has its.
actor.
He is a good actor. I love Val Kilmer,
Bats.
but the movie kind of got some you know crappy reviews, unfortunately. But it's still entertaining to see Val Kilmer as Batman, and that whole movie was great.
Yeah.
Then keeping it with Michael Keaton, Johnny Dangerously is the all-time funniest movie in my book. It's one of the greatest, kind of like it's like SNL, but in a movie standpoint.
Nah. Wait, I'm
Um,
rubbish.
Yes. You have The Pest for me, John Leguizamo,
Oh.
another comedy movie. I love his dancing he be doing on it. And he's just a clown. I love it. I just love every minute of it. I um Another good movie for me, and especially obviously with my dad's urn behind me right now,
Yeah.
Superman, the Christopher Reeve movie. No offense to any other Superman movie, but the
Right.
Christopher
Christopher
Reeve
Reeve
movie
is good.
specifically was like the movie that I could sit there and watch. Part
Yeah.
one, two,
Beautiful.
um, it was just amazing. It's just the way they talked about it, especially part two when they brought in Zod and
Hmm.
kneel before Zod. Oh,
It's so cheesy.
it's so cheesy, but it's so good. It's just
Mm.
so good to watch. And then Demolition Man. Demolition Man is so great. A lot of Stallone movies are great.
Yeah.
Rocky. I mean, obviously Demolition Man. The
Judge Dredd.
Judge Dredd. Oh my god, I was just thinking about that one too. You beat me to it.
Is
Judge.
he does his part as Judge Dredd is not very comic book accurate, but it is a good time. It is a good.
Yeah. So I definitely love those. Those are my top five movies. And I'll start off with the reason why for me
Yeah.
they hit for me. Batman, obviously, I mean, I just mentioned it with Kevin Conroy. I was a big Batman fan already because of the animated series.
Mhm.
So then when I saw the movies, or when I saw the movie, because it came out around the same time I was born, so I saw it a little bit later.
Mm.
I was just like yes, this is the guy. This is it. This is the one I love. So Batman, I think is very. I think I overstated how much I love Batman. Superman, like I mentioned, I watched it with my dad. Um, it was something we always watched. He always said Superman was better than Batman. We used to always argue about it. So it was always something with Superman in the household. So specifically that movie has always held a piece to my heart.
Mm.
Um, Johnny Dangerously was a movie I saw with my dad and my grandfather because it's an older movie. It's done. If you know the timeline, he did this movie before he did Beetlejuice and before he did Batman.
Okay.
So there was a lot of drama and a lot of like, what you're picking him to be Batman?
Mhm.
But
Because of his acting style,
his
of
acting
course.
spot, he was known as a comedy actor. He did a lot
Mm.
of comedy roles. He was more of that showbiz kind of actor.
Mm.
So Johnny Dangerously hit that, and there was so many lines of Johnny Dangerously that hit very, like, to this day. I still say it and joke. The epic lines like, "You shouldn't hang me on the door, Johnny. My mother hanged me on the door once." Once. And it's just so like epic. It's so funny. It's just things like that it's just it tickles me, and it's like when I'm sick or if I'm just not in a good mood, if I see it on any of the streaming channels or if they used to pop up on regular TV and I would watch it, just it's on. I'm like, yes, I gotta watch it.
Yeah,
Um, and then The Pest. Um,
uh,
John Leguizamo is a very underrated actor.
forever. I was watching John Wick 2 last night. He's in it, and he could adapt to any role.
He
Any.
can.
He was a clown, Spawn. Like he, like this man is so versatile.
He is very versatile. He's very hilarious. And The Pest, I think, even though it was one of those movies that was kind of like a movie, it's still so funny to watch. I still can watch it because it's so cheesy moments.
Hmm.
But he's a, I know he's Puerto Rican, Colombian, but he lived
Hmm.
his life like a New Yorican, and he's very New York. He's very home. So when I
Hmm.
hear him talking, I hear him joking, and I hear it kind of makes me feel like I'm hearing my dad in a
Yeah,
minute, in the midst of it, because
the
my dad
accent
joked it.
and the language. He's in Papa
Yeah,
John's commercials, and he's
yes,
like
he
making
is.
like very New York. Like you can hear his accent. You can hear he's like, "This is thinking. This is real pizza. Like this is how
And
you
I
make
love it's the
pizza."
going back and forth. It's the smack talk,
Yeah,
the trash talk into it. It's just so good. It's just, me and my brothers, and you know my brothers, and we always kind of go back and forth each other. John Leguizamo is the reason we did all that because we watched my dad and John Leguizamo and like stuff like actors and comedians like this, who would just kind of be that quick, bam bam, like you joke, we joke right back.
yeah,
It was give and take, and I
yeah,
loved every minute of it. So The Pest kind of very childish. There's always a scene there that me and my brothers joke around about where he runs into the Chinese food because
yeah,
he's trying to run away from some. Yeah, that's where he works. But he was also trying to run away, and he
yeah.
gets there, and they were like, "Quacky!" And it was a duck hanging, was chopped up. Cause oh my god, my duck! And it's just so hilarious. I mean, it's just stupid. It's just stupid comedy that just hits.
That's awesome.
But what about you, man? Let's hear your five.
You're done.
I'm done with mine for now. I mean, we're
Okay.
gonna continue. We're gonna definitely continue talking about them, but
Now
I want to hear yours.
it was hard for me to pick because, as I said, from starting in like August, Angie and my wife, we made a horror movie. Kind of like we were doing the 31 days of Halloween, and it turned into like 80 something days of Halloween. But I have more like movies that I can go to, and the reasons why. But I also have genres because it was so dang hard for me to be like, okay, this is the reason. Because so certain movies like that they I have a list and like categories of movies that they all hit me the same way. So there's only like two movies that I'm like, okay, yeah, this and this. But anyway, to start before I have five, I don't have Batman because I knew you were gonna be. And Batman has taken over my life in a great way. It gave me the confidence to friends because I was very introverted. I'm still very introverted, but it gave me the confidence to meet the woman I'm on because I was not good at game flow meeting. So Batman is very influential in like, who I've become and who I'm still, I'll Bruce. And like TV shows like Game of Thrones or very sci-fi stuff like that. It hits and it does. It's just like kind of go to for entertainment, but it doesn't strike me. But I like it. So first and foremost, Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh yeah,
Love this movie. The reason why is one because of how long it took for that. It took 2 or 3 years for them to make this movie, and it's because it's stop what you would call like stop go animation. So it's
yeah,
claymation,
yeah. The
and
claymation.
it's very difficult to make movies like that. And Kubo and uh, Corpse Bride, you have
Frankenweenie, I think, is another one that did it.
Frankenweenie is a good. Um, If you ever seen Box Trolls is a really
Yes.
good movie. It's so underrated. I love it. And Kubo again. Kubo is very like cinematically, it's a beautiful movie. But Nightmare Before Christmas, it's such a go-to movie because you can watch it any time of year. But in the holidays, when you hit October, it's just the go-to movie. You can watch it for Halloween. You can watch it for Thanksgiving. You can watch it for Christmas. It hits me because one, the hard work that they provide, but also the joy that it brings into like such a dark world, trying to be something different. Don't be afraid to try something new, even though you've done this for years and for decades and centuries, or you have this or you have that. It's it's never too late, and don't be afraid to try something, even if it's 100% not. If you like it, you like it. If you fail, you fail, and it speaks volumes on. Don't be stagnant, at least to
Yeah.
me. Always continue to grow, always continue to look in another direction in the sense of like your curiosity and the growth as spiritually and physically. A genre wise for number two, I picked anything Christmas, and I love this setup. I'm gonna try to make it. Once I get my house, I want this setup with a much taller tree, but
Oh, shit.
I have like a minimum of a 10-foot tree, and I'm only 5 foot, so like 5 foot forward, whatever. But anybody who knows me, two things that I love: horror movies and Christmas. I go ape shit when it comes to decorating for Christmas. Why is because when I was little, my parents, we didn't have much, but they made sure that we didn't know it as kids. You could have sworn that we were rich because we did any toys because you were good, or because like, when Christmas came specifically, you got what you wanted. You got what you deserved and what you earned. But they made sure Christmas was it. The decorations. And we lived in a 3 bedroom apartment in part of Brooklyn, and it's like, whoa, like the apartment just transformed. And I wanted to take, and then we moved to Florida, and it was just like, wow, we're sitting across the street looking at the layout of the house, and we're like mapping those lights go here, and the 10-foot Santa goes over there, and oh, we got that glowy kind of like strobe light. Frosty the Snowman, he can go over there, and mixing and matching, planning
You
this
guys were like
decoration.
game planning like you're going to
It
war.
is, it's a corner house. You got to represent. You're a corner house at the front of the subdivision. If you ain't the standard, nobody is. Like it was like we took it seriously. My parents are older now, so they toned down. But it was just like decorating for Christmas, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, even a day after Christmas is just like the breakfast, this, the that. So I love even Hallmark movies. They're like cheesy and it's all about love stories and stuff. But any Christmas movie that could remind me of my childhood, how hard my parents worked to make sure that we were happy at the Christmas season, I wanted to pick that. Like you walk into my apartment, I got a 1 bedroom apartment, and when you walk into my apartment, Christmas, it's a museum. We got the little townships. We got this. We got 2 trees. It's 1,000-foot square foot apartment. We got 2 Christmas trees
2 Christmas trees for no
because
reason.
we in it. The Grinch is on the patio. It's serious. Like, and Angie, she stays out of my way. She's like, when it comes to decorating, stay out of Robbie's way because I'm mapping and I'm doing my thing just how my dad and I would do across the street. So any movie that could hit me from that just like gives me that itch from when I was like 8, 15, 32 now. So it's just like it's never gone away. It's never. I remember in college they did a topic and like you could write about anything. I said, okay, I'm gonna write about Christmas. And he gave me extra credit on that paper. I got more than an A on that paper. He was like, you love Christmas. I was like, that's my heart, dude. Christmas is my passion. He's like, I can see it. There's some extra credit. It's a great paper. And I was like, yay. Counteract that F that I got
That part.
Facts. So thirdly, to keep it going with the Christmas, this dude, look at that smile.
You know, it was
You know,
hard to keep this one off my list too because I love The Grinch.
Jim Carrey is God, and this movie it depicts it because he's
Yeah,
when you talk about versatile, he could do anything. Like when I was like Jim Carrey as a Grinch, I was 11. I was like 10, 11 when this movie came out. I was like, okay, because I knew about it
yeah.
because my brother was always watching like In Living Color and like The Truman Show and this movie and that movie, and I was okay, I know of him. I'm a kid, but I know of him. And he took me, my brother. He knew I loved Christmas, so he took me with his then girlfriend to see The Grinch of Brooklyn, and I was like jaw dropped. And it's just the way, especially with director Ron Howard, and it's just like, okay, this is a great one. It's a great cast. Two is a great director.
Yes.
It's a great script, and like the writing, everything just fit. And every scene where it is and where it's placed, you can interchange them, but the sequence of it is just perfect. And you can watch it any time of year.
And
It just
it was
warms
really
my
well
heart.
done because of the, like it was pretty much off the book,
Hmm.
but with like little in between stuff that they don't normally talk about.
Right. And it's a kids movie, but it's also adults because Jim Carrey just he hits certain jokes that you're like when you grow up, you're like, oh crap, that's what he
Yeah,
like.
exactly.
You're like, oh Lord, that's dark. But yeah, it's really nice to be able to it pops in my head sometimes. I'm watching Jim Carrey's Grinch. It's August. And I'm like, I'll watch some Grinch. Or like in
I
our
normally have
household.
to save it to Chris because that for me that's a Christmas movie. So like
Hmm.
once I hit after I eat my turkey, then I can go into Christmas. I can't get into I don't I'm Puerto Rican and I hate this trend of right after we see all the scary people, we gotta go right to the jolly fat guy. I want to have my turkey, then I can see Santa.
Yeah, I see Christmas trees where I live already. I'm like, yes, y'all got
Dude,
the right idea, but I have to look
seven
anywhere.
houses down the road already Christmased out. I'm like, we
Seamless.
just got over
Yeah,
Halloween.
yeah, yeah. Done. Let's go. Business.
Cobwebs gone. Let's put up the red guy. It's like,
There you
no,
go.
I want to see the
House
turkey.
smelling a pine. All on it. No, you got turkey.
I can't.
You talk about.
Maybe like the week of Thanksgiving, I could put a tree up, but I can't do it before I eat the turkey.
I have a thing with my wife. It's just like okay, after the Halloween, even before Halloween, because we really don't do Halloween like that. I feel like Halloween's for kids and we don't have kids. So
Which is weird
it's
because
just
you
like,
love horror movies as much as you do.
I know. So that's why we did the horror movies instead for decorating. I mean, we decorated a little, but it wasn't like, oh, Halloween. But it's like, okay, once Halloween's over, then you could decorate for fall and Thanksgiving. But the day after Thanksgiving, the night
It's gonna
of
snow in your
Thanksgiving,
house.
it is coming down, and the weekend after, which is only a day or two after, boom. So the whole month of Thanksgiving, the whole month of November, I'm planning. I'm already starting planning. I know where everything is gonna go. I look at my inventory, nothing has changed. So I know where the tree is gonna go. And I know what the table set's gonna look like, and we have those little villages things, and I know where those are gonna go. I know like the wreaths, we have 5 wreaths or 4. I gotta check inventory. So every door has a wreath, like lights galore. The lights were things like high places, or it's just I have battery operated lights that are on timers, so you can't. There's no dark spots.
Oh
Because
God.
I hate dark spots in my home around Christmas. When I put on those lights, I don't want to see any dark ones because I will go out to Hobby Lobby and get some.
It's serious for you.
It's serious.
This is war.
This is war.
This is war for
It's
Christmas.
serious. So I thank God. It's like bittersweet, but I thank God that we don't have a house yet because with this economy, I'd be like dropping some serious money on Christmas decorations, and Angie's like, "Stop, just stop."
She's
Uh,
gonna beat you with one of
Beautiful.
those.
Now, uh, for number 1, 2, 3, 4, I have to go with the horror movie genre. Specifically, to me, the granddaddy of all. There's horror movies before this, but 1920s Nosferatu.
Ooh.
Yes, it's imagine seeing this movie Now originally it was made, I believe it was made in 1922, but it didn't hit like actual theaters because it took forever to make a movie back then until like 1929. But it's in 1920, so that's why I was a little confused of like when it came out and when it was made. So I just said the 1920s. But imagine being in the 1920s and you see this.
This
It's
was like epitome of fear for them back in the day.
exactly like this is today's like terrifying. Like seeing movies of this genre, seeing movies of this caliber back then terrified people. It was a new step forward in cinema because you still had like silent movies. It was black and white. Cinema just started. It was expensive to make. So to go out on a whim and be like, hey, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do a movie that is going to scare people. It's gonna keep you on the edge of your seat. We're gonna make Nosferatu. What is that? That is he's pretty much Dracula of his time. He made the inspiration for all of these Dracula movies and series that we have today. And it's like, wow, this one's from before. But to me, personally, this is a I cannot go without watching um The Man Who Laughs, Smiles, and I cannot go without watching Nosferatu. And there's new age ones, and then like Creature from the Black Lagoon, and like all of the original Wolfman, and he looks like he's in a Party City costume. But it's like this is it. Like that is this starts it. And you gotta pay homage to it and you gotta pay respects to it because you gotta think about what it meant to make a movie back then and how ballsy it was to make a horror movie back then, knowing that not everybody's into that and it's black and white and it's silent. It's it's so like mind blowing to me. So you think about
It's true.
so especially at that. That's like making a 4D interactive something nowadays horror. Like imagine if they took Terrifier 2 and made it 4D interactive. Not everybody's gonna go see that. Like when I walk, I've seen this movie 3 times, and when I go to the movie theater, this is not 10, maybe 12 people, and then half of them leave because they can't handle it. So imagine being in 1920s and going to see this. Crazy.
That's crazy to
And
think of.
yeah, and that's why I have so much respect for it. And then last but not least, anything with this guy's name attached to it. For those who don't know, this is James, to me, respects to the legend of Stephen King. But when it comes to movies, he is. I mean, you have your George Romero, XYZ. It's it, James Wan takes horror to a different level because he's versatile. He's not gonna just do Insidious. He's not just gonna do The Conjuring. He's not just gonna do spells, witchcraft, and he's not gonna do just gonna be like stagnant in that like they're haunted, it's demons and stuff. He's gonna do Malignant that came out on HBO Max. It was like okay, it was a tumor that turned it was like a fetus of a twin that attached to the body. It's attached to the brain, and it's like the way he thinks and the way things are written and the type of horror scene by scene that he depicts is awesome. He doesn't do many jump scares. Sometimes he will, but most of the time, if you think about a jump scare, it's usually between a second and a second and a half. That's a jump scare. You see it, and it's gone. He'll make you watch. He would deliver it to you, like in The Conjuring 2, and the what's his name? The Crooked Man. He's like in this tent with a kid, and you don't see it at first because he's like his like entity is in a toy, but then you look up and he's there, and it's a jump scare, but he makes it last that much longer, so you could process the facial features. You could process what you're seeing. It's not just something that popped up right there and there for you. And then the full scene afterwards is him running around the house and this, that, and the other. And then later it comes back and he right there in your face, and he's walking towards you, and he's doing all these like weird motions and movements and stuff. But on top of that, he's versatile that he can take a break from horror and then go make opera, and it's a good mix.
And what was the other? He did another comic book movie too, didn't he?
Can't remember which one. He's done so much. I don't really, didn't he? Did he? He didn't do Shazam, did he? Yeah.
I don't think he
No,
was part of the Shazam project.
no. I can't remember which one he did, but he was involved in quite a few. He's made so much. But
Yeah,
when it comes to like the Conjuring series and that's like horror movie wise, if James Wan, it's just like when we were talking about Terrifier, and you were like, oh, well, no, we weren't talking about Terrifier. We were talking about the horror movie Grinch adaptation,
yeah.
and you were like, oh, David Howard Thornton is going to be playing Grinch, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to see that movie. I don't need to see a trailer. I don't need to read a synopsis. I don't know. All I need to know is when the release date is. With James Wan, I'm the exact same way. James Wan's attached. He directed it. Okay, cool. I'm gonna watch it. If he produced it, then I'll be like, all right, cool. Because sometimes the director goes
Or
on
will supersede
much
some
yeah, and
decisions.
and they'll just use James Wan's name to promote the movie because but then you see it. It would have been better if James Wan directed. But
That part.
mm-hmm.
I know you from the conversation you and me had the other day when I was at when I went to visit you, and you were talking about Angie waking up in the middle of a Conjuring 2 moving. I was like, you left her like this. You left her like this with a paralysis demon for like a month.
3 o'clock in the morning, I was scared the hell out of it because like that's my lullaby. It's I don't know. I need to see a shrink.
You may
But
have to.
who horror movies to go bedtime? Imagine
You psychopath.
that.
You freaking psychopath. You're the only person I've ever heard that says, I'm gonna watch a horror movie and go to sleep. Like, what? Time out.
Yeah, I was like, I was watching John Wick 2 last night. And all respects to John Wick, but amazing. But I was like, I'm falling asleep. I don't really want to go to bed right now. I was like, yeah, let me put on something for it, and I just fell asleep. I didn't even get to pick the movie. I was just like, oh, come on. Like,
You're
but if I was
just
watching a horror movie, I would have been like into it and then slowly dozing off.
and it's hard. Picking up on this list really quick,
Yes,
it was so hard to pick that list because I have other
it
movies,
was
obviously,
very
like
difficult for me.
I'm a big Star Wars fan, I'm a big Harry Potter movie fan. Um, you
All
know,
of them.
all of them, yeah.
For
And
me,
even
like
talking
the
about
last three because it's nice.
That's
What was
all you
that?
ever hear. All the memes are every time I go like Instagram, and like they make fun of Voldemort. He's just trying to scream the Vada Kedavra.
I was like, does he have like Down
He's
syndrome?
having a
What
stroke.
did he do? It was a stroke. What was that? Yes, go ahead, bro. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
You're
We
hilarious.
haven't hit Rambling Robbie yet. We're getting close to it. Um, so I do want to ask, with all our movies we've now just kind of mentioned, um, what do you think about the idea of feelings of an emotional attachment that we have to the movies? So like, and what I mean by that is like the feelings that we have in retrospect to like, oh, this movie makes me feel like back home when I was like 10, or oh yeah,
Mhm.
this movie makes me feel like in love, or it makes me feel like I want to fight somebody, or makes me feel, and what do you think about that? What's your take on movies giving that adjustment to like your feelings or emotions?
I think we gravitate to the way the emotions run your life. Even if you try to omit emotion from your life, if you're in a happy mood, you want to watch a happy. If you're in a Christmas mood, you want to watch a Christmas. If you're in a angry or violent and you want to cool down, you're not gonna go watch a love story. It's not gonna resonate with you at that moment. You're gonna go with what fuels your emotion and your thought process at that moment. So for me, but like I was in a very action packed. I wanna see violence. I wanna see, good cinematography. That was me yesterday. So I threw on a go to. John Wick. Why not? And I'm one, two, three, boom, in a row, because just the way that it's made, the way that it makes you feel, and it fuels your fire. If I'm in a sad mood, you want to watch a movie that wants to keep you sad? Sure. Some people like that. If you want to watch a movie that makes you more happy, it's going to be a bad one, because you're trying to process what's going on in your head that's making you sad, but then you want to combat that with something that's going to be happy. So it's going to take a little longer. Me personally, you will go in a direction of how that movie makes you feel, and it will adjust yourself. It will adjust your mind. I had to stop watching Dom on Netflix because my mind started gravitating to the way the series was made, and the way he operated, and the way he spoke, and it's like it was very meticulous and calculated. Well, this isn't me, but you get, for people who love and have passion from movies, the same people that have passion for music, that song or that movie of those scenes, if you embed yourself into it, it's gonna take over. So you got to be careful, and if you can't snap out of it, you're done. You're gonna watch an angry movie, and you're gonna get angry, and you don't know why. I feel this way, but I'll watch a happy and see how your emotions feel, how they turn, how you switch. It's incredible how the brain and the body, chemical, your chemical balance can be
Yeah.
either balanced or imbalanced, depending on what you hear and what you see when it comes to a movie, when it comes to music, when it comes to play, when it comes to ballet. It's amazing how your body and your mind can adapt. I love it. I absolutely love it. That's why I have so much passion for movies right now. I'm very grateful that I could do this, sit here with you. Nobody watching.
Touche.
Look at that. See that it says live 37 minutes, and just kidding. How about you?
It's funny because when I was coming up with this part of the show, and I was thinking about it, it's like I have a strong idea that movies, shows trigger emotions. You get attached to a show because it brings up a certain feeling at a certain time all the time.
Mm,
Um, but it also, like you mentioned, it brings you down a rabbit hole, because if you're in this sad depressive state and you keep watching sad depressive movies, you start rabbit holing down
mm,
to more and more like depths of the just that
mm,
sorrow.
mm,
And I think it's a finding that right balance to remove the emotion sometimes, because sometimes you're just watching a movie just to watch it, but then you start watching a movie and it triggers a thought, a memory, a moment. You start thinking about all these other times that one time you used to watch this movie with an ex-girlfriend and she broke your heart. That specific ex-girlfriend cheated on you. So now you're like, oh great, now I'm angry. Now you change the movie out of anger to
yeah,
another just angry movie, like you said. Like you go from
exactly.
watching I don't know, Christmas Carol to now all of a sudden watching Fight Club. Like,
Mm-hmm.
how the heck did you go there? But it
Oh,
just
yes.
yeah, it just changes the mood all of a sudden. So I definitely think there's a strong connection to watching movies and how they trigger feelings and emotion, um,
Mm,
in good and bad ways. Because I can watch Aladdin, a Disney movie, the
mhm.
the cartoon one, and I can remember being in New York, watching it on VHS, not even watching
Mm.
it in theaters, watching it on VHS at
With the
home.
lines across the screen
Yep.
until it settles.
And then watching that, and then with my dad eating cereal. I can vividly remember a memory of that,
Yeah.
watching and just think, and that was just on the thought of the movie. When I start
Mm-hmm.
watching it, I remember like even more stuff, and it's like, oh man, like that's
It's a
awesome.
fond memory. Yeah, it's
You
a
know,
core memory, as they would say, inside out world.
yeah. And then if you think about like when I watch Batman or if I watch a Superman movie, I have now a different memory. I have a memory of me arguing with my dad. Batman was better than Superman. And stuff like that. So it's a lot of attachments to certain movies. If you remember, I was on a podcast at one time with John,
Oh yeah.
who was my photographer, and we
Yeah.
had we had the same conversation about, does food trigger certain feeling or emotions.
Yes. Oh
Um,
my
a-
God. If you ever
and
smell
I
something and
have
you're
a
like, I'm
strong
four.
feeling.
Like, I love that. I was like, am I four? What does that smell? It smells so good. I remember when I was
Yeah,
6 in New York. Like, oh,
it's true. It's like
interesting.
you smell food, or you see a movie, or you hear something, and it just brings a certain emotion to
Yeah.
it. It attaches a memory, it attaches a sentiment to it that you never really thought about until you start watching it, and then all of a sudden, like most times, I have like Harry Potter playing in the background, or I'll be playing um uh what's another one? Especially like right now, because it's Halloween time and fall time, we
Yes.
start watching Hocus Pocus and
Yeah.
um uh, Nightmare Before Christmas. Once we
Yes.
hit Christmas time, I normally am full Christmas mode.
Mm-hmm.
I put Eight Crazy Nights, I put Grinch, I put Christmas Carol,
Father
Christmas Story.
Christmas.
Yeah.
There's one on Netflix that's not too bad. I think his name is Jimmy. Oh, like it's on Love Heart. It's actually pretty decent.
Oh,
Decent Christmas movie. And Die Hard is a Christmas movie. I don't care what.
listen, Bruce
Yeah.
Willis said it himself. Die Hard is not a Christmas movie.
So
It
why
just
is
so
this?
happened to come out in Christmas time every time.
And it's snowing. I'm like, seems like Christmas to me, dude. And Hawkeye, the Hawkeye series on Disney Plus, Christmas. It's
I gotta
definitely a
watch. I
Christmas
still haven't
film.
watched that one. I still have
Yeah,
to watch that because
it's
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 gearing
awesome.
up. But
Watch it for Christmas. It's a Christmas theme.
But yeah, that's my take. I mean, to have when you think about movies and you think about our passion for the movies, the reason what started
Hmm.
this podcast, is that we care about certain things and certain you know events that happen in movies and timelines that start happen in movies. Even though it started for us like in a war of Justice League and Marvel's world, you know,
Yes,
we look at other movies and have these same arguments, same talk conversations
right.
that we care about the movie so much that it gotta make sense, because if it doesn't make sense, it doesn't hit the same. If the movie is a cruddy movie, it doesn't leave you with that memorable moment.
Exactly.
So it doesn't attach anything to it. So if like Harry Potter for me will always be another attachment movie, because I attach it to a lot of you know winter, fall time. I would watch it, while mom is cooking, Thanksgiving dinner.
Mm.
Or like now I watch it just because I want to go to sleep and I want to hear, the spells sometimes. Or
That
Voldemort have a stroke in for a moment.
man had passion. It
Yes,
was like
it was well
20
played.
years to kill somebody. I was like, that was a baby, dude. I was like,
Seriously, you
I'm
couldn't kill the
getting
baby,
this
and then
guy.
you come back solid 18 years later and still couldn't kill him.
He just couldn't finish the job. Poor guy.
But
You need to
it,
kill him.
it just it is just something that movies bring such a great feeling, and it can bring a bad feeling too. It's too much of
Yeah.
anything can always be a bad thing,
Right.
you know.
Right.
Um,
Lovely conversation, brother.
oh yeah, this is definitely bringing up some more conversation, more in depth stuff. Um, Now, I do have another one for us for the show today, and
Okay.
for anybody who's watching this, who watches it post live or watching it now when they're on live. But if you have anything you feel maybe you want to add in on it, please jump in. We'll always love to see extra comments on it.
Right.
Um, Now this one was tough. So, do you think that movies or shows hold more similarities to our life, that that's the reason why we to it and we love it so much? Something that maybe we're going through at that moment and maybe is reason why we fell in love with the movie, or something that we've gone through and the movie kind of depicts it very well
Hmm.
and it kind of hits on it. What do you think?
Definitely. Definitely. As I said, for is movies trigger and empower emotions to go whether they're good or bad. Um, they also they're connected to memories, just like how an event in your life is connected to certain things. So you'll see, you know, an object and trigger a memory depending on what that object is and how it impacts you. Excuse me. But it's when it comes to movies and shows, I would say yes. I would, you growing up and watching shows like Are You Afraid of the Dark or Barney or something. I remember watching that Freakazoid or the
Oh my god, you just hit a memory.
Hey, exactly. It's like
You just unlocked a memory. You said Freakazoid. I went, oh my god.
Earthworm Jim and Rocket Power and all this stuff. And you're just like, wow, like they impacted me because I wanted to watch the X-Men. The Saturday morning cartoons, and you're watching this, Looney Tunes, Baby Looney
Shoot,
Tunes, and
Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, all those stuff on
yes,
Saturdays. You used to wake up.
Digimon, and all those things. Like you're like, oh wow, it's like they hit hard because you enjoy them. The ones that don't, you don't because your brain is like an etch a sketch when it comes to like certain things like that. Okay, bye. But same thing for movies. You could see a little, lesser known adaptation of a movie, or a comic book movie that was just like, oh, that was terrible, or a cartoon or this, and you're just, I'm not gonna remember this in T-2 seconds. It's like okay, yeah, and it's just like okay, well, fine, but then there are movies that you just wow, for that resonates with. Let's watch this. Let's watch that. Yeah? And then you bring it, whether you have kids or a spouse or the nieces and nephews come by, and you're watching it. Hey, I watched this as a kid. Let me pass this on and see.
Except for Looney Tunes. I can't watch Looney Tunes as an adult anymore. I've lost my I start seeing things on Looney Tunes. I'm going, wow, I really love that episode. Like vividly remember watching this episode. And he's
It's
humping
just
that
like,
one.
yeah, why watch the Muppets, and you're like, why does Gonzo love chickens? Oh, like okay, well
Oh.
then,
I know
he's a
we
he's a pervert on
cancel
another level.
culture. Cancel culture was so quick to jump on Pepe Le Pew, but no one talked about Gonzo loving chickens.
Gonzo fuck chickens, but they want to say that Pepe Le Pew is a little too much. I was like, we have to cancel culture because
Seriously.
these hippies' grandchildren are killing my mind. Like, like, just leave it alone. If you don't like it, change the channel.
Seriously.
Like, it's not
There's
like
about
what's it gonna do?
4,000 channels now. If you look on, I have DirecTV, so it's about 4,000 channels you can literally go to. And you
Yeah,
want to complain about the one channel that you happen to fall upon?
yeah. When they were talking about the cops doing their job, the lack thereof, sometimes get good cops and bad cops, and they were like, "Oh, cancel Paw Patrol." I was like, "You petty, you have nothing to do."
Seriously.
I'm like, well, what's your problem? Like, cancel culture is just a bunch of pussies. I don't care. Rated F. I don't give a shit. Like, this is our channel. I don't give but I hate it. Anybody who's like too opinionated and they get like triggered or
Gen Z and
like
further is
about
sitting there looking like this right now.
anything. Oh, or cancel Robbie. You never cancel me because I got a mouth. I'm gonna say it. You cancel rated F, we'll make it rated X. We'll make another channel.
We may go
Yeah,
through all the letters.
we're gonna alter the letters and rated double Z. You're never gonna get rid of us. So kiss my ass on a dirty Friday. Like, anyway, so hate people like that, man. My niece is like that. Yo, kick rocks.
But it's great that you said that though, because and everything that you just mentioned, you know, everyone has an attachment to it, good and bad, which is
Hmm.
the reason why cancel culture jumps involved in a lot of shows, actors, and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Because good and bad, you know, you have an attachment to a movie, great, but then when you start seeing the attachment is more very similar to your life, it
Hmm.
attaches to you very, very differently.
Hmm.
So, and that's why a lot of these times cancel culture, I am very fed up with it. I am fed up
Yeah,
with trying to cancel everything.
nonsense.
But
Because they
just
never okay.
because, and for me, it's just because you don't like it doesn't mean the next person isn't gonna like it. Just
Exactly.
be just because it maybe brings up a bad memory for you, then go to something else.
Yeah.
It is so many other avenues to go to that we can see. I hate and because I watch, I'm on TikTok most days and I'm looking on it, and I hate to see a snippet of a comedian that's getting heckled by a quote unquote Karen, whether you want to dub it a Karen or
Hmm.
not, whatever.
Karen
But
or King.
they're yelling at the comedian because he made a joke about something and they want to cancel him immediately. It's like, wait a second.
Yeah,
You went to this willingly. It's not like he
paid money to
hasn't.
see him. I
Yeah,
need to
this
know
is
him.
not like you went there and he
That's
kind of
why.
like surprised you. Like he just jumped on stage and started saying jokes that you didn't like.
Yeah.
He was on. He was a headline guy.
Mm.
So why
That's
are you
that's why
mad?
I felt so bad when they tried to bury Louis C.K. It was
Yeah,
terrible what they did to that. His genre is very shocking comedy. Not to get off topic,
yeah, but
we always do. But
as much as I agree with you on that, Louis C.K. had a little bit more outside stuff that really got him canceled. It wasn't his
and that's
genre
the
of
thing.
stuff.
It wasn't his genre, but he had a show afterwards that he touched that topic, and he was like, even if you ask someone permission to do something and they say yes, don't do it. He was like, because any given second while you're doing it, they could change your mind. And even if you say, okay, you change your mind, it's the fact that whatever was done
Has already
happened,
happened.
and now they change their mind. So whatever happened, even though they said yes, it's there goes your career. I'm like, you got to be kidding.
Consent only goes as far as that yes. Because when I change my mind, it all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, I didn't consent to
At
that.
the
Yes, you
end of
did.
the S, if I say no, you're done. And it's like, okay, well, that was 5 minutes ago. What happened in that 5 minutes? And it's just like, well, no, it doesn't count because I say no now. And that goes for men and women. And it's just like, what? Like, I could understand where they're coming from, but
Like maybe it
you have
sounded
to take
okay, and then all of a
responsibility
sudden
as
you
well.
change your mind. I always get it,
Right.
but then
And then you're
don't
like,
come at
oh,
me when
okay.
you change your mind that it didn't that now it doesn't sound good.
Exactly.
When
When,
originally you were cool with it.
yeah. When you try to increase your career or do something for your career and now you regret it, that's your problem. What you did at that moment, that was you. You said yes, take responsibility. I think that's what this generation is an issue with. They have an issue with taking responsibilities for their actions at all times.
100%.
You can't just turn your back and say, "Oh no, I don't have anymore. Cancel it. I never want to see it again. Fuck you." Like, no, no, absolutely. That's not how the world works. Everybody has an emotional something or needs a strength or medication, anxiety, this, and that. Handle your problems. Now that's a fine line to walk because there are people who go through crippling anxiety issues because of
Mm-hmm.
things like that. But you have to understand that you don't need somebody else or a pill or this to handle your situations. You need to gradually. And if you need help, if you need a medication, that goes into a different realm. But if you're just like, oh, I have anxiety, oh, I'm triggered, no, get out of here. And
Yeah.
it's the parents' fault. You created babies. And it's like they don't know how to handle their problems. They don't know how to handle emotions, so they pick on others and think that they're supposed to bow down to how they're feeling.
You know, it's funny that you said that because my
Weird.
parents did a really great job. I feel like in talking to us about like expressing a lot of the emotions and you know a lot of stuff like that. But again, bringing it back to some of the movie stuff and a lot of
Yeah.
similarities. I
Please.
remember, I remember that a lot of times I would watch a movie, and if I was struggling to defend myself or struggling to kind of speak up for myself, and I'll watch a movie that would do that, then it was like, oh, well, I can do that too. And it would
Mm,
change my mindset. It would change my motive. It would start changing my mood. And like, okay, like I was a bullied kid for a while. I was fat and trying to play sports, and even though I was pretty decent at sports, I was still
mm,
fat and short. You know, I was a
yeah.
300-pound kid. How the heck at 5'3" for most of high school until like senior year when I went
Yeah.
through 3 more inches, and that was about it.
I had the opposite. I didn't have many friends growing up, and I was 108 pounds in high school. I didn't get to 140 until I graduated.
And
Like on the wrestling team, thinking I could make a difference. And I was like, no, kid.
and that was the
No.
weirdest thing about it is that I would see
Oh,
that
boy.
I would see somebody else and I'm like, oh man, I could do that. And then I would get bummed out because I didn't. And then
Mm,
I watch a movie and I'm like, okay, I see what he went through. I
yeah.
can do the same thing. And
Yeah.
then it's just it attaches, it pushes you, it connects to your life very differently and it puts you in a very different mindset. Because normally on any given day, you would just be like, okay, I give up, I'm done, I
Hmm.
suck, whatever. But then you
Yeah.
start watching something like that, very inspirational for you, and it just changes your mindset. Or you see something that's funny, and it may change the mood. Because for me, comedy was what got me through growing up.
Mm.
I was being bullied. What did I start doing? I started giving it right back, and I started
Yeah.
making jokes and started giving it. So eventually, it goes. I can't joke. I can't joke on him anymore because he has a comeback for it.
Yeah. I can't rely on somebody else to defend me. I need to defend myself. And whether and I don't condone violence because violence could kill people, but like if it's verbally you defend yourself or through your actions in a sense of
As long as
non-violent
nothing is
means,
being physically done, if it's
right?
something that you can defend yourself verbally,
Yeah. If
like
to me, if you gotta fight, you gotta fight. If it goes that far, but you need to have the mental capacity to process as a human being simply that your emotions are not gonna control you. You need to process this through. Is it worth doing? And then find a different way if there is a different way. If violence, if you chose violence, choose violence and go for it. But you don't have to, shoot up the school. Like nowadays, oh, they bullied me as a shot up the school, killed somebody, or you could have just fought,
and it's sad to see
talk
because
to
of that. And I
talk
think
to
it's
the
just
parents, talk to your parents, talk to the principals.
you know, I
Sad.
remember watching a movie. I can't even remember the name of the movie, but I remember watching a movie where a kid was being, this is around where I was getting bullied, and I was like I didn't know what else to do, and I had kind of talked to my dad about it, and because I figured like man to man, like hey, this should help me out, if I
Yeah.
talk to him. But my dad was a cool guy, and he was growing up, so it was kind of hard for him to figure how to defend. He just figured, hey, if they get stupid, they get froggy, leap and just hit them. But
Yeah.
it wasn't a bad logic because if they did get to a point where they were gonna hit me, then yes, I was always
Going
ready
that
to
direction.
to swing. But
Always.
I think it was watching a movie where I could see someone being bullied, and
Yeah.
the extreme. I saw two ends of that. They showed like the extreme of it, of the kid eventually shooting up the place, and then they showed another extreme of it where, or not an extreme, but they showed the other side of it where the kid got the proper channels of help, went
Yeah.
to the adults, went
Mm.
to whatever, and he spoke about it. And that was where I was kind of like, okay, I heard my dad, and I was talking. I was able to have that communication with my dad. Then I also saw that there was a lot of other channels that maybe I wasn't utilizing. And
Yeah.
then if you go through the channels and then nothing still happens, then there's certain, then you got to figure out next steps. But if you're
Yeah.
doing all the right things, and then watching movies, I think kind of helped, was that outlet for me where I was
Yeah.
able to kind of figure that out, and it's like, oh, okay, like if I can't do this way, well, there's another route, and there's another route. Once you're out of all routes, then you have to figure out, okay, go to the extreme actions, maybe,
There's
which
a
not shooting up a place is never condoned.
yeah.
That's not what I'm
There's
saying, but
actually there's a movie. It's called We Need to Talk to Kevin, and I can't remember where I saw it. I think I saw it on TV or whatever. But it depicts the not only the family, the emotions and what they go through, the family of the victims, but also the emotions and the hardship that the family of the shooter goes through. My kid shot up the school. He uses bow and arrow because he was really good at archery. He didn't use a gun.
oh wow.
So he's just picking these kids off one at a time. Like Legolas, not to make jokes, but like he was really good at archery. Just bop, bop, bop. Killed his little sister, he killed his dad. And he always resented his mother, and he was always this really troubled kid growing up, no matter, like, grew up in a really good household. Mom was there, dad was there. Perfect, blue collar depiction of what a family should be. But sometimes, chemically, you're just not there. You're not all there. But it shows how hard it is for the mom to get a job after what happened because she was fired. She's trying to get, make ends meet. Or just being in a town where your kid did this and you're seeing the families every day. Small town.
It, it's tough to
You're
see
looking,
that.
yeah, you're looking at mom and dad in the eye, and they hate you because of what your son did, and you're like, I don't know where I went wrong, but now I got a burden because of his actions. So a lot of of stuff, a lot of it, people need to be accountable for their actions. They need to be accountable for their emotions and think this through. Because if you're a short fuse, buy a fuse. Go to Home Depot and buy it. Because you need to fix yourself or get something fixed.
Yeah.
What you get though.
Or find that outlet. Sometimes it's just that
Find
outlet.
it
And
out. Yeah.
I think again, watching movies was my initial outlet, and which is what kind of got me going,
Yeah.
like I said, with my passion. But then, that also gave me a lot of other ideas to what that I could do. Is, oh, I had friends, that I was really good with, you,
Right.
Juvie, the
Right.
list
Right.
was
Right.
endless at that time.
Right.
And then, my parents, who I had a really strong connection with. I know not a lot of people do, but you know, I still have a really strong connection with my family. So it's something that I think movies kind of like geared me to, and kind of maybe my parents set up like, this is what we want you to live by, and I would watch movies and kind of like reinforce that, and I'm like, oh man, like this is what I want to do, what I want to be, so I want to be a better person,
Yeah.
you know, and I would be still defensive, smart mouth kid, but you know, I would also, and still to this day, I'm very smart mouth, but it still gives I still had a guideline. Say, okay, I have options to do anything. I never have to
Right.
go to an extreme route, um, and which I think movies help out a lot with. And I think,
Definitely.
to the question that we've pitched up, I think movies bring up a lot of emotions that we see and go, wow, I see myself, and I went through that, and I love this movie because it depicts it very well.
And even
Um,
conversations about movies. Like look where this conversation is branched off. Just talking about the different genres and the different, it triggers emotions and memories and conversation. I did not think we were gonna have this morning. It's too early to be talking. But it's just like they have an effect on who we are growing up and who we become.
mhm.
It's beautiful. It's
Yeah.
definitely beautiful. Man,
And
we
kind
get
of to segue that part to this part of the question, it kind of
mm,
we kind of touched on it. But do you think that
yes,
movies or shows have an effect to our health?
yes, yes, of course. This entire conversation has been no matter what question that we have, no matter what movie that we bring up, it's always about how it made us feel. And taking care of yourself emotionally and spiritually is the gateway to making sure physically you are healthy. So, 100% yes, it does affect your health. It does affect how you process. It does affect your imbalance, and it could make you a more level-headed person, or it could affect your day in a negative way. It could affect your month, your life, your life. It could take a route where you're traumatized by what you've seen, and now there's things from that movie. It's just whoa, that reminds me of this, and now I feel like this.
Are you already feeling like that and you start watching it?
And here we go, full circle. I was trying to forget that. Here it goes again. Like, oh, just because you try to get rid of it, because you try to cancel it and pretend it's not there, doesn't mean it didn't happen. Because you could do whatever you want. You can cancel this and you can avoid this and ignore that, but it will come back. And you cannot get rid of that emotion. You can't get rid of that feeling unless you process it, handle it. You have to get healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
And I think I definitely agree with that logic, because health and movies, I said it to start the show. I said,
Mm.
I watch some movies or shows when I'm sick.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because it makes me feel good.
Yeah, it's like a bowl of soup.
Sometimes I'm sitting there with a bowl of soup
So,
watching it. It just,
yeah.
it's just that double comfort. And then, I also feel in the flip side of it that if you're watching too much of a lot of those darker movies, those like really heavier movies, it
Oh, you
puts you
were
in a
about
different
something.
mindset.
Yeah.
You're inviting or opening, if you're thinking of on a spiritual level, you're
Mm-hmm.
opening the door for more negative to come through.
Yeah.
That's
That's
why
why
they say don't play with the Ouija board. Why? Because you're opening a door for more
I
spirits to
am.
come through.
I'm big on horror, but you would never see me go to 10 feet of it.
I wouldn't even be caught dead next to a
Yeah,
Ouija board. You'll never see that happen.
I've seen some things. You and I have seen some things, and we ain't going through that. That was real. We ain't going. I respect that. That door
Yeah.
stays shut. Nah, but
And that's the weirdest thing about it, though, is that we start watching movies like that, and some people fall into that rabbit hole of
mhm,
opening up that negative moment or opening up that curiosity because they saw a movie and it took them down this weird rabbit hole that
yeah,
now they can't get out of.
it's
And
gotta
why?
be very
Because you've
hard to get
watched
out of.
8 hours of death on while you're like dying of a sickness over
Yeah,
here.
that's
You know,
when Angie and I were doing the horror movies. I had to stagger because you watch too much paranormal or too much entity or too much demonic things, bro. You start to feel different. The air is heavier. So seeing things you're like, whoa, I need to take a break.
mm-hmm.
I need to take a break. You need to get happy. You need to cleanse wherever the hell you are. You need to shut that door. You can revisit it later. But too much will open or put a crack in that door. And the next thing you know, it come kicking. And now
Yeah.
you got something in your household that you never
That you weren't even
intended.
initially yeah,
Yeah,
this wasn't
you
the idea.
I just wanted to sit down and watch The Exorcist, and next thing you know, woof,
You are an exorcist.
you have an exorcism to take care of me like that. So,
So
funny stuff.
it's great stuff that we talked about, man. I definitely love this. This was a good topic.
It's a good
Ironically, like
conversation, bro. I love it.
this is it dug in a lot deeper into the movies and into our passion. And anybody who's watching this again, feel free, drop your comments. Let us know what you feel, what you think.
Yeah,
What
please.
movies maybe hit you differently, or if you want to chime in any other conversations or the questions that we posted. Again,
Right.
just drop them out. Bring on the conversation. Heck, we might jump in the comments with you guys.
Mm-hmm. By all means, yes.
Yeah, so guys, if you haven't already done so, again, please subscribe to the channel if you are watching and you get all our updates. Follow us on our Twitter, rated F2, and our Instagram, the rated_F. Also, our podcast, we have the link in our description. We will be posting the audio clip of this today as
Mm-hmm.
well. So anybody who hasn't watched it or doesn't have time to watch it on YouTube, go ahead
Just
and
listen to us.
follow us on Apple Podcasts as well.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you for tuning in, guys.
Yes, and if, as always, guys, you have anything to talk about, let us know. Robbie, do you have anything you want to drop in?
Oh no, time to go.
Time to go.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. I'll see you around, man.
See ya, man.
Wow, this is the thrill. Welcome to the thrill. Giving you something that's real. Tell me how you really feel. Now that you're hearing the thrill. I was all